Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news, how a shooting at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport is impacting flights to and from the Bahamas.
The opposition leader says there is a plan and she will reveal all very soon. That story coming up.
The Prime Minister discusses his plans to turn around the economy. That story is coming up straight ahead.
Police searching for the occupants of a vehicle seen fleeing a murder scene last night. The United States Embassy in Nassau issues a warning to its citizens in advance of a protest scheduled for Majority Rule Day. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight. Officials at Lynden Pinling International Airport are closely monitoring a developing story coming out of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport today after 5 people were shot and 8 injured at that airport this afternoon. Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, or FLL, was shut down around 2:30 p.m. as the Broward Sheriff's Office responded to reports that shots were fired at Terminal 2 of the airport's baggage claim. 3 airlines operate flights between Nassau and Fort Lauderdale: Bahamas Air, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines. Our news understands that the Southwest flight from FLL to LPIA was en route before FLL suspended flight service and has since landed in Nassau. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued a statement noting that it is in touch with the Bahamas Consulate General in Miami to determine if any Bahamian citizens were in any way involved or affected by the shooting at FLL. The statement adds that Bahamas Air does not operate from the terminal where the shooting took place, but all operations at the airport, including those of Bahamas Air, are at the moment discontinued. Bahamas Air, meanwhile, has reported that all of its employees are accounted for at FLL. According to FLL's website, FLL is currently closed and will be for an extended period of time. Locally, Nassau Airport Development Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Jan Knowles, is advising passengers to contact their airlines for more information about flight delays and cancellations in and out of Fort Lauderdale. NAD continues to closely monitor the situation and advise on any changes. For those updates, you can follow NAD on Facebook or Twitter. In other news, opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner says there has been a huge amount of interest in the new movement in the works to win the government of the Bahamas, a movement she is a part of. That movement, she says, crosses party lines and even includes the Democratic National Alliance. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
Opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner says there is a plan in place and all will be revealed very soon, but she also mentioned that that plan does include the DNA. Despite DNA leader Breville McCartney's denial in this morning's Tribune that there is talk of a bold partnership between his party and Loretta Butler Turner, according to the Long Island MP, there is a plan in the works, of which the DNA plays an important role.
I love the excitement. I love the fact that people are waiting to see what we're going to do. I believe they'll be very happy with our end result, whether we call it an alliance, whether we call it a coalition. It's important that the DNA will still be the DNA, and this bold coming together is going to be of 2 distinct groupings working for a common good.
People have been waiting on the next move for Butler Turner and the 6 other MPs who chose her as opposition leader in the House of Assembly. But as speculation grows, she said everything won't necessarily play out in the media, but an announcement is on the way.
We don't need to constantly be in the public discussing it, and so as we move forward, we hope that we can conclude it and be able to come and make the announcement so people can know exactly what we look like.
Butler Turner raised eyebrows when she appointed community activist Rodney Munker as well as the DNA leader to the Senate. She was pretty straightforward in our interview today in speaking of how important the DNA is to their plan.
You know, I am a realist and I am a very patriotic Bahamian first and foremost, and I'm hoping that we're able to get this arrangement with the DNA right so that Bahamian people can understand the concept and would be willing to support it, because the country truly does need a directional change. The Free National Movement and the PLP as we know it today are not going to be the answer for moving the country forward.
She said for the most part it appears as though people have just been seeking out another option in the political arena.
There's a lot of interest. A lot of people want to be a part of this. And so, you know, we're juggling many things. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of buzz. And we have a lot of people waiting with bated breath to see. And there's a huge amount of interest of people wanting to be a part, either on front line or involved in the whole grouping that we're putting together.
Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Meanwhile, recognizing the errors his administration has made in the area of economic growth, Prime Minister Perry Christie says the problems are being swiftly corrected. This comes after the Prime Minister and his administration have come under heavy criticism in the wake of last year's credit ratings downgrade by Standard & Poor's. Giorgio Bain reports.
With the Bahamas' credit rating sitting at junk status, Prime Minister Perry Christie says the economic turnaround of the Grand Bahama economy will greatly improve the country's investment outlook.
Christie added that the Ministry of Tourism has been working feverishly to create a new brand for Grand Bahama to set it aside as its own tourist destination. But he admits with constant hotel closures, that has been difficult.
I'm mindful of the fact that in Grand Bahama, that 2 of the major hotels remain closed, Memories and the Locayan Beach. And even though every effort is being made to get the Locayan Beach online, the container port is closed, and so Grand Bahama is threatened. The government has approved a $200 million development by Carnival Cruise Lines in East Grand Bahama, so I expect things to happen there. We know that a West Grand Bahama, the product will expand there, so there are indications that things are happening.
According to Christie, while working on reviving Grand Bahama's economy, a lot of resources are now being pumped into the other outer islands to get their tourism numbers growing with added infrastructure.
I expect developments to continue and expand in the islands like Bimini, Abaco, Eleuthera, Exuma, where we have not paid much attention to them because a lot of attention has been taken up with Bahama, but I expect major developments to break ground, and even in Ocean Key, where some 100 plus persons will be employed on a permanent basis by MSC, Mediterranean Shipping. And so I expect, therefore, to be dynamic development.
While Christie admitted that his administration has received tons of backlash for the emphasis placed on the Bahama project, he remains confident that the project will meet all of the new deadlines and provide thousands of jobs as forecasted.
In New Providence, some people believe that we are totally dependent on Bahama triggering off the economy. No, we're not, but we expect Bahama to employ early this year, beginning in January, 1,800 people and graduating to 3,700 by mid-year. And so this is what we expect. We know that we have the workforce is now mobilized and on-site and working, and we believe that the timelines will be met.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
In other news, the number of recorded murders for 2016 was significantly lower than those figures recorded in previous years. In a recent interview with our news, Prime Minister Perry Christie says while he is pleased with the decrease, it simply is not enough.
We are obviously very concerned about crime. We're continuing to focus on that by most certainly exhorting the police to do all that they can, because it's a vexing issue, and even though they've had reductions in 2016, it's not good enough. And we have to appeal to our young people out there that all are victims. They kill. Those who are killed are victims, and those who do the killing are victims.
At the outset of 2017, Christie says the motto for the fight against crime will be simple: zero tolerance.
As we prepare for 2017, I also want to advance the fact that we are at a very advanced stage of the National Development Plan, and that is the first of its kind in a very meaningful way, the first of its kind, and we expect that to be a guide to all areas of our country where we know we have fallen short. The national plan is identifying what ought to be our priorities, like an ease of doing business in the country where we have slipped, but having a competitive council where we focus on all that we have to do to be competitive.
Meanwhile, a 21-year-old man has become the country's latest homicide victim after being shot multiple times near Rocky Pine Road Thursday night. Police say they responded to reports of gunshots in the area of Palm Breeze Street off Rocky Pine Road around 11 p.m. When they arrived on the scene, they found the lifeless body of Kieran Humes in the street with multiple gunshot wounds. Humes was pronounced dead on the scene. Now police are searching for the occupants of a dark-colored Nissan, which was seen leaving the scene of the shooting. This is the third murder recorded since the start of 2017. Still to come on our news, the United States Embassy in Nassau issues a warning in advance of a protest set for Majority Rule Day. The leader of the opposition weighs in on newly revealed tax exemptions associated with the multi-billion-dollar Baha Mar resort. And the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce shines a light on Family Island development. Stay with us.